Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram Om. 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 Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. What?
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. What is to be shared?
Silence of the mind is
Something of the mind. What, ma?
Mind.
Silence of the mind.
Silence of the mind.
Silence of the mind. Normally, we try to understand the mind as flow of thoughts, thought flow. One after another, it keeps on coming. In that mad rush of this traffic, we are unable to understand the gap between the thoughts. That is why Papa gives us this Ram Nam, so that when we concentrate on a particular thought, at the exclusion of all other thoughts, the mind gets concentrated on a particular thought. And through practice, we try to witness our own thoughts. Witnessing the thought can be understood as silencing the thought. Because with the help of a thought, how can we silence the thought? So when so many thoughts are rushing up, we are trying to concentrate upon, because mind cannot remain without thought. So when we say Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Papa wanted us to hear our own chanting. He uses the word attuning our thought. When the thought goes along with this sound, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. When we try to hear these sound, the tangible gain is dissimilar thought currents get arrested, as it were. The mind is slowly trained going along with this thought. When we try to hear our own chanting, the next stage, the tendency to go out becomes less and less, because we will not be able to hear. The moment the thought goes out, we will not be able to hear our own chanting. Nowadays what happens, when the chanting goes on, mind also goes on to something else. These two are happening at the same time. So we are now trying to concentrate on this particular line of thought called Ram Nam. Initially, after 2 or 3 Ram Nam, we try to hear, and then after 2 or 3 or 4, again the mind goes out. So this has to be tried regularly. We will fix the time as 5 minutes, for example. Whether we are in a position to hear our own chanting for 5 minutes. After 2 or 3 minutes, the mind may go out. Immediately we open our eyes, restart. Because there is no shortcut. When we keep on trying it, we have been assured by Mahatmas that the mind gets steadied and will start hearing its own chanting. And when the hearing process takes place, it leads us to the witness consciousness. Who is knowing and who is chanting? The chanting stops. Papa has devised so many, after experimenting upon it in so many ways, he has brought out his revelation. So we can try. That's why he specifically said, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. It is in the stillness that you know and realize God. Straight away we will not be able to arrest the thought. Because during our waking period, the moment we get up from our sleep, thoughts start playing its role. So we are now trying to devise a method by which thoughts exist, but at the same time thoughts are being witnessed by what? We will leave that. Thoughts exist and thoughts are witnessed.
Swamiji,
Huh?
the thoughts will always be there.
Huh?
Thoughts will always be there.
The moment you get up from the bed, what happens? Every second you are propelled by thoughts,
Yes.
One thought or another thought or another thought or another thought.
Get up with thought.
So the only way before us is how to tame the thought. We cannot destroy the thought. We have to transform the thought. And how do we do that? We try to concentrate upon one thought. Because suppose we are hearing a music program. When we concentrate upon the raga, the lyrics, automatically what happens? We can watch ourselves. We are freed from dissimilar thoughts. So when the mind is put on that particular process, the mind gets trained to concentrate upon one thought at the exclusion of all other thoughts, which is what is called concentration or focused. Kindly think about it. All of us are doing this. And now, with the question of quietening is not quietening. We are trying to understand the base from which the thoughts emanate. So how to do that? A conscious, a vibrant mind cannot do that. Because the mind has to become zero, Mind has to become actionless. How to do that? With the mind we cannot do that. So we devise a method called chanting and hearing. And during that hearing process, we chant and we hear. The first tangible gain is, it is put on one single train of thought. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. See, when we are hearing it, the entire thought process is set to one particular thought called Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So when we are trying to hear our own chanting, the thinking process goes in one train of thought. When we have reached that stage, the next stage is we become aware of the chanting. So Papa recommends from the vocal chanting it would be better to have mental chanting. Because in mental chanting concentration is more necessary than the vocal chanting. Because the moment the concentration is not there, we will not be hearing our nama. So by vocal chanting Om Shri Ram, we try to somehow upgrade, graduate ourselves to mental chanting. Every day morning we are trying in Ramana building 15 minutes chanting, vocal, 15 minutes mental chanting. So 15 minutes we are trying to put it on a particular rail, particular line of thinking. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Not for 1 or 2 minutes, for 15 minutes, this is being tried, vocal. Mind may here go there, but as we try to do it more and more, it becomes disciplined. Of course, it depends upon the commitment on the part of the sadhaka. And then when we stop, after 15 minutes, same thing is chanted mentally. So when this mental chanting takes place, there may be lapses, there may be gaps, doesn't matter. Slowly, this nama chanting becomes our second nature. And another tangible gain is that we become aware of the chanting. Now the question comes, who is aware and who is chanting? Everything comes to a stop. So the question was raised, how to quieten or still the mind, thoughts still the mind. And it is not for stilling the thoughts we are doing it. Stilling the thought is a process. Stilling the thought is a process by which we become aware of our original nature, core of our being. Because it is not an object. So Papa wants us to concentrate on the sound.
Swamiji,
Ah.
in the process of quietening the mind, I go off to sleep.
Huh?
Go to sleep. She goes to sleep while quietening the mind. While quietening the mind, she goes to sleep.
At times it happens. At times it happens, don't resist. If our commitment is more and more, we will get up go to the wash basin, pour some cold water, walk for a few minutes, again we sit. Or after having a nap for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we are again back, wash our face and then sit. We can devise any method. There is no airtight methodology prescribed. We should concentrate on the sound. That will be better. Go on repeating Ram Nam continuously without any break. The method of approach through sound has been found to be the easiest. As soon as the mind is absorbed in the sound, that means hearing, absorb the sound means it is not going out. We rise higher into a state of super consciousness. The sound that you hear is what comes out of that infinite silence. When we repeat the mantra aloud, we tune ourselves to the sound produced by it, and through the sound, we enter into the perfect stillness within us. So the sound must possess us. The sound is the first movement of the motionless. If we can go along with these, it might help us. We have to try. We have to try. Papa will never say this is the only method. Each one has to try. Somebody was holding on to that Om sound, because in Bhagavad Gita he says, Om is the first sound that came. Akara, Ukara, Makara. A-U-M. So when we keep on concentrating upon sound, what happens is something, let us not learn it academically. Why not we go through and do it? Elsewhere he says, be a witness to all your movements. Before that, we would also like to share. When we are trying through the sound, hearing the sound and then trying to feel the witness consciousness, what we do during the non-chanting time matters. If we are selfish, if we act everything from the me and mine, self-centered activities, however much we try, our mind will not get concentrated. There is a correlation between what we do during the non-chanting time and what we try during the chanting time. So let us not think that this should be practiced only when we chant. During our non-chanting time, what we do is very important. If I become self-centered and only concentrating upon me and mine, my efforts to move in the proper direction during my chanting will not bear fruit. This is something we have to keep it. That is why Puja Swamiji used to say, when you are a sadhaka for 24 hours. I may fail, I may forget, but there should be an intense desire in me to live up to it throughout my. Suppose I start burdening others, I start shouting others, I start appropriating only for myself, and then I sit for chanting. It will not help. So simultaneously I must try both. He puts it in a beautiful way. Outer activity should be compatible with inner aspiration. What is inner aspiration? To remember him. These are the words of Papa. outer activities should be compatible with. If the quality, care and concern for others is less and less in me, however much I try before the deity or guru, I will not be able to progress fast. So that means our sadhana is not to be limited only during the chanting period. We have found it, for 50 years, 40 years we have been chanting. What happened to us? There should be a harmonious alignment, a harmonious relationship between what we do during our non-chanting time and what we aspire during our chanting time. Think about it.
There should be an equilibrium, Swamiji.
Equilibrium.
Equilibrium. In other words, when I don't get concentration during my chanting time, I am immediately reminded of this. Some alignment has to take place. Probably if it is too much disturbing, I must immediately get up. Pour some cold water on my face, look at the figure of the deity or the guru, look at the sky, look at a flower, look at something Mother Nature has given. The mind becomes relatively calm and quiet, and again we start. So we have to keep on trying this. When we went through In Quest of God, we found Papa very often now he was resorting to solitude. So we infer that it is only the train of thought should be tamed, controlled. So when it is always outgoing, how can it be controlled? So when he sat for 21 days at a stretch in the hill in the Arunachala, excepting for the Bhiksha, he was coming. Most of the time he was concentrating on this, so that the thought is trained to travel in one. He is not meeting anybody, he is not talking to anybody. Nobody told him, the instruction came from within. It is not for simply reading and quoting for somebody. From there we get this idea that there should be some method by which we should try in our own way. Whatever possible. Because our samskara have thoughts, When we are constantly thinking about one particular line of action, it produces samskara in our mind. That samskara will remain with us even when we are not doing it, Vasanas. So now it is becoming clearer and clearer to us why we have not been able to concentrate on Nama. Because the mind is so much crowded, though it wants to concentrate upon that, the instrument is not yet ready. One part of the mind propels you to, motivates you to sit and chant, to get a glimpse of the source from where the sound comes. Honestly, we all feel that. But when we sit for that act, what happens? The mind runs riot. It's unruly behavior of the mind. It will not allow us to concentrate. So Papa devised one more. If you see the second page of In Quest of God, you will find he did not limit that to one particular time in a specified place. Normally we have a puja room, we go there, sit and we do some Ramnam and come back. It's not helping. Because what we do during the non-chanting time matters. So that is why he introduced the word, whenever the mind is free, even the period ever so small, you are chanting. That means slowly he was demolishing the idea that chanting should take place only in a particular area, in a particular place. And every time when we chant, we at least sometime we will remember, we are chanting. And the moment we remember we are chanting, we know why we are chanting. Chanting is to link ourselves with Him. Chanting is to remember Him, who is there in us in the form of life, in the form of awareness, in the form of intelligence. God expresses in the form of life force, awareness or consciousness, intelligence. To remember Him, we are trying to connect through the name. So when Papa says, when he started this chanting, even the period ever so small, he was trying so that he was demolishing the notion in his mind that this particular time is for Ram Nam chanting, this particular time is for Vyavahar. So Ram Nam chanting was entering into him more or less throughout his waking state. So the question of dissipation does not arise. And in order to give a boost to it, every now and then he resorted to solitude also. Now such places are very rare. So we have to devise some other method. Many people used to write to us, we would like to sit quietly for some minutes. Then we tell them these are all the activities that are going on. Otherwise you should withdraw yourself from it, and there may be a sound. We can't say that there will be totally soundless, but we may be able to give you a room which is far off from all activities where you can try. Because in no ashram now, because visiting devotees are there, they are preoccupied with their own, and you will not find a place where you can sit quietly and do it. Very difficult. Then what is the option before us? So we try to find such things in our own way, at home, so that when we come here, we can create that atmosphere here. If we honestly watch ourselves, especially people like us who have been coming here for 5-6 decades now, we can watch. We have attended many Ram Nam sessions, Hours and hours together we can calculate, suppose, all these years, how many times we have chanted. But have we been able to get ourselves stabilized in the core of our being? Whereas in the case of our masters, Papa and Mataji, they did this in the first 2 years where they intensified. You might be knowing Mataji refused to sit for meditation. In Kasargod ashram, when she was able to withdraw herself from so many other attractions, she was able to concentrate definitely, but still she refused to sit for meditation. Papa said, no, you have to go within. She said, I will sleep. I feel sleepy. Sleep. Then, when her attraction towards or her reverence towards Papa's form was also cut off, then Papa said it went inside. And he himself has written 3 to 4 hours at a stretch Mataji was able to sit. Something unimaginable. We can only repeat those words. Unimaginable. And then Papa wanted her to come back. She refused. Then Papa said, no, that is not complete. If you want to have a comprehensive experience of God's presence, it should be also when you open your eyes. Open your eyes, you see Him. Close your eyes, you see Him. Open your eyes, you see Him without. Close your eyes, you see Him within. So this has to be tried.
Swamiji,
Ah.
we can make use of our own home because nowadays the nuclear family is actually
We can
should
make our
helping-
own home
should help
because
us.
nuclear families.
Some device, we should be very clear about it. We have been given this wonderful Ramnam to concentrate upon that sound so that dissimilar thought current can be arrested. And then the next stage is we try to become aware of it. And third, to feel the quietude, the calmness, the serenity, the peace, the stillness, the silence. And then come out of it and see the same thing expressed in forms. Initially, we may have, our mind may interpret that if we sit quiet, everything will become to stand still. No. If we closely analyze what is intelligence, potentiality reserved in us, it comes out when the rush of thoughts are not there. Anything that is creative, productive, it becomes only when the mind is sharpened, mind is focused. Suppose it goes here and there, we will not be able to bring it out. And each one of us is vested with its intelligence. It is not that given only to some, every one of us. Because God stands for intelligence. Buddhir buddhivadamasmi, yeah. You cannot explain that intelligence because it is beyond the purview of thought. It comes, that's all. Mother Nature gave the cotton from a cotton plant, from a cotton pod. People who were wearing the barks of the tree on those days, we were told in history, they must have been passing through that. We are visualizing in our own way. Whether it is right or wrong, we don't know. We have seen the cotton fields. When we were traveling through Gujarat, plenty of cotton fields were there at that time. So then we stop the vehicle and go to the area where it is planted. Then we see the pods, pod. Cotton will be there. And as it gets ripened, the color changes from green to brown. And then again, after the fully ripening, the pod breaks. And then the cotton, it is just like, normally we have to pluck it, remove the oven, then do this carding, and so that the cotton is separated from the seed, and then the thread is made. So we are just visualizing when we see this for the first time, it must have broken, the pod must have been broken, and it must have been in the air. Now the intelligence, we are trying to understand what is intelligence. The person who somehow saw this, from where this textile technology came out, just imagine. There was nobody to tell them that cotton can be, cotton can enter into the state of threads, and thread can be woven, and then cloth. All those things, nobody is there to tell Where from it came? It came from within. Anything. Today we had rice, at the time of our lunch. We used to think about it. Paddy is a gift of Mother Nature. Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. We don't know the first paddy, how it came. We have no idea. So we take it, in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the eternal seed of everything, including the paddy, including the tuvar dal, including the moong, including everything, jackfruit, a mango tree, a coconut tree. First, we don't know that. Okay. But when the coconut came, when the coconut tree started growing, there should be somebody who looked at the coconut, that today what we call as coconut. And the curiosity in him, as soon as it got dropped, you could have left it, no? What is it that made him to find out the contents of that quire? And after removing the quire, he saw the shelf. Again, the probing nature made him to break it. Then he got the what we call as coconut. How to use it? Nobody guides. Think. And ultimately, even who told him that there is oil there? And who guided him to have this oil stored in that coconut? We are trying to understand what intelligence is. Intelligence is beyond the purview of thoughts. So that intelligence will come out only when the rush of thoughts are set at rest. So in what God gave us these things, so that the humanity at large, the world at large get benefited by this. Think, anything that we see, it has come from intelligence. Whether it is a specs, whether it is a mic, whether it is a laptop, whether it is a chair, whether it is a building. Somebody should conceive, first when there was no such thing. That has all come from the stillness. We started today's topic of quietening the mind, stilling the thoughts. We know now that the stilling of the thought is the base from which everything has come out in an amazing manner. Is that go to quotation? When we recede into the depths of silence within us, Papa's words, we arrive at the true basis of our life. We discover that from this source, all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. It is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of peace and joy. Until an individual gets the vision of this fundamental existence, this base, he will be simply groping on the surface and therefore in the dark, in pursuit of vain and evanescent things, believing that these can yield him the true peace and happiness. He is beyond our comprehension. Therefore, silence is he. Silence is Brahman. The self does not require silence It is always silent. So this source, it is at this source that we discover the eternal fountain of peace and joy. When we recede into the depths of silence within us, we arrive at the true basis of our life. We discover that from this source, all life and manifestation have come forth in their amazing variety and multiplicity. Out of silence, tremendous forces are released, wonders are worked. Learn to be silent. It is not merely outer silence, but inner silence, silence of the mind. So the question raised was very, very pertinent. We have been successful in chanting the name. Only 3-4 days back, one of the visiting devotees asked this question. Papa has elaborately touched upon this inward journey, but why ashram is not concentrating upon inward journey? All that we could say is that everybody is free to do that. And we felt that this inward journey cannot be done collectively. Like Ramnam session or Arati or flower offering, that all those things can be done collectively. But real inward journey cannot be done collectively. Initially, of course, we can sit because you are conscious that you are sitting for this, Whereas in the true sense of inward journey, the process of silencing is not felt by the person who is doing it. The process eliminates the person who is processing. That is the real meditation. If I say I am meditating, I am not meditating, Because when thoughts are set at rest, who is there to say that I am meditating? So though we infer, and we were also recollecting our experience in 60s, in 68 to be more precise, when we were coming here and stayed here for more than a couple of months, more than a month, yeah. Then Mataji used to take us for this inward journey session. There also no lecturing, nothing. We all go there, sit in the Papa's home mandir, that's all. But we remember, though Mataji had written that place is exclusively for that purpose, collectively also she wanted to introduce or initiate us into this. Otherwise, when we come here, we used to go and sit there. There won't be any disturbance at all. So from there we learned that this inward journey cannot be practiced on a collective basis. Inward journey has to be tried individually. It can be in your room, in any place where we are comfortable with. And nowadays, of course, this centenary hall is there. Many people come and do that silently. During the time they fix. Not that we say this particular time is for meditation. No. Any time they feel like. They can go inside, they can sit here. Anywhere else. Somebody may be sitting outside. Whenever the mind goes just to open, they see the flower, again it is back. Any method by which, there is no particular method. But this is a must. Inward journey is a must. Why? Because right from the morning till we retire to bed, we are always guided by the thoughts. So that has made us unaware of the silence behind the thought. Because we completely go along with the thought, every moment of our life, every second of our life, we we have not understood that there is something behind thoughts. The silence is behind the very thought. So a visit to an ashram, because at our own home or in our various fields, it may not be possible. We are preoccupied with one or another. But when we come to ashram, when we have no individual thing to be done, excepting at the time of eating we go there, at the time of taking our bath and keeping otherwise we are free, relatively free from all our obligations, all our duties. So we have got plenty of time. There we can say what is the base from which the thoughts arise. So in order to do that, one thought we have to concentrate, that is Ram Nam thought. And through Ram Nam thought, we try to hear our own chanting. When we try to hear our own chanting, automatically the witness consciousness emerges. We know that we are chanting. Then who knows and who is chanting, chanting stops. It might be for a trice. Again, thought may come. But we can set ourselves on a process. And then we come to know that right from morning till night, behind our thought, behind our every thought, there is silence, 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 silence within us. Not the silence as we have defined as silence. It's silence that pervades everywhere. And thoughts are like waves, So even while recognizing the thought, we become aware of the thoughtless base. That's what he said. Sound is when we repeat the mantra aloud, we tune ourselves to the sound produced by it, and through the sound, we enter into the perfect stillness within us. Through the sound, we enter into the perfect stillness within us. So this stillness has been with us. Sound has been with us. Now we are trying to recognize, our spiritual practices should enable us to recognize the silence even while the sound is floating. We tune ourselves with the sound produced by it, and through the sound we enter into the perfect stillness within us. So the sound must possess us. Sound is the first movement of the motionless. Sound is the first movement of the motionless. Motionless means?
What is a trance, Swamiji? Trance.
Trance. Elsewhere he says, once the mind ceases to be restless, being free from thoughts and desires, that moment we are not individuals, but pure consciousness, which is at once cosmic and supercosmic. Pure consciousness. Stillness of the mind awakens in us a consciousness which is full of radiance and ecstasy. Now we know that we are the truth, the eternal. Papa not only experienced, came out of it and was able to express all these subtle points in an uncomplicated, simple way. I will read out. Once the mind ceases to be restless, that means not going here and there, Nama chanting, okay, Nama chanting, it is confined there. Being free from thoughts and desires, that moment we are not individuals. And what are we then? But pure consciousness. We are not dead or inert, full of vibrant activity. No? If all of you try now, what is meant by this consciousness, will you be able to define? At best we can say, you know that you are sitting. You know that you are hearing. You know that you are. That much we can go. That knowing principle in us, which is called awareness, bodham. So he says, once the mind ceases to be restless, being free from thoughts and desires, that moment we are not individuals, but pure consciousness, which is at once cosmic and supercosmic in nature. Stillness of the mind awakens in us a consciousness which is full of radiance and ecstasy. Now we know that we are the truth, the eternal. So now, to cut it short, we all have Ramnam. So now we are trying, today Papa is making us to say whether your Ramnam chanting is leading you to the eternal. If not, try to do some fine tuning and make use of the chanting to lead you to the eternal. This particular word, now what we read, leading to the eternal. Now we know that we are the truth, the eternal. So Ram chanting should enable us to move toward this truth, the eternal. There are so many stages he has said out of his experience. So Ramnam chanting, witness consciousness, free from thoughts and desires, experiencing the pure consciousness, and then to get fixed in that eternity. It's a PhD subject, but he has beautifully brought it out. And it is good that this point was raised.
Swamiji. Swamiji.
Thank you, Swamiji, Padmaji.
In the small book, brought out inward journey. All these things have been culled out from various talks. So beautiful, so simple, so uncomplicated. At the same time, we will not be satisfied by mere superficial chanting. That we have been having it, we will continue to have it. Even now, a couple of devotees came and they were talking about marriage of their son. So first, when do we have Ramnam? That is our culture, that is our samskar. So that we will try, but far, 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 far from that. There should be an effort individually on our part to enter into the eternal. That probably we can try it only when we are in ashram, where we are relatively free from our personal commitment, personal duties, personal challenges. Try in our own way. Many are doing it. We have been observing, many people come. They would like to quietly retire to some place and then dwell on this. This is a must. One group will be taking part in all the activities outside. That is also necessary. But somewhere in the day, you must also find some moments where we retire from all our present thinking fields and then try to identify this core of our being, even if it is for 5 seconds, worth it. So we pray to him now, who has prompted us to dwell on these thoughts. He made us aware of the need to get a glimpse of this original nature within us amidst our various activities. And we have been assured that once we capture that this is the base, we will be able to retain it as much as possible during our daily activities, which is what is called getting grounded in it. So let us all pray for that, and Papa will definitely guide us from within to move from stage to stage. More of it on day after tomorrow. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om